Now, today we have the pleasure of speaking with Kia Waters, a distinguished marketing consultant, media personality, and podcast host based in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, with over 20 years of experience in small business marketing, he is the founder of Smooth Waters Media and the creative force behind Elite ATL Live. Now, her commitment to authenticity, engagement, and empowerment has made her a beacon for entrepreneurs seeking to elevate their brands. Now, before we dive into our conversation with Kia, let's set the stage with our Mindset Minute. Now, this segment offers a powerful nugget of wisdom to help you tackle the challenges of the week. Today, I want you to remember, as entrepreneurs, our journey is a marathon, not a sprint. So embracing a growth mindset allows us to grow, or allows us to view challenges as opportunities for development. Now, this perspective not only fuels motivation, but also propels us towards success. So let's get into it and get into our segment with Kia Waters. And welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast.
It's Miss Kia Waters. Hi, Max.
Hi. How are you? I'm
doing great today. Thank you for having me.
Good. So I'm glad that you can come in. And you know what? I want to start off kind of, I kind of gave the introduction. So I want to kind of start off with an interesting question, that you have transitioned from military service to nursing to marketing, which is very fascinating. So kind of what inspired that shift for you?
Well, helping people. I have a huge heart. I love helping people. In the military, I was helping my country. I was learning how to get the skills necessary for me to be able to implement, to be a force in other people's lives. You have to learn structure. You have to learn discipline. You have to learn patience. I did all those things. Leaving the military, I immediately went into nursing. I was actively able to help people. And to do that, I was able to help people all over the world. I was a nurse for 15 years and still am licensed here in Georgia, in the compact states. Now, I pour my energy into helping people build their passion, their businesses, and I find that is way more profound in their lives. That kind of help, assistance, and care is way more profound in their lives, because that's something that they want overall in their life, for their legacy, for their future. It's their passion, it's their purpose, their business.
Wow. And I agree with that. I think it's, I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I've been, I think my first entrepreneurial experience was at middle school, actually. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever told this story before, but I used to sell I used to use my bus fare to buy candy. And if I couldn't sell that candy at school, in middle school, I didn't have a way to get home. I had to walk home.
Really?
Yeah, so that was,
That's inspiring.
So
so you were the candy man at school. I would be coming to you at
lunchtime. Yeah. I only had like 60 cents, I think. So it's only, the stuff was 5 cents or 10 cents back then.
You flipped it, though.
But I
you
flipped
made it
happen. And then just, the next day it just could go. And until I started, using my own supply, and then that never worked. So anyway, anyway, I got better as I got older.
Yes, you did. Had to start somewhere.
So let me ask you this. You've had a diverse background, and how has that kind of influenced your approach to marketing and media?
All my skills help me in every direction of who I am today and all the services that I provide. The military helped me with patience and understanding. When dealing with people, you have to understand where they're coming from, their story. You can't just be sympathetic. You have to be empathetic. You have to take the time and the patience to understand them. The military taught me that, on top of implementation. Implementation is everything. You got to get active.
Yes.
If you're not getting active, if you're not doing, nothing will get done. The military taught me that.
Wow.
Nursing, it's all about care. You have to put the care in, and that's not just the care for others, your customers, your audience, the care for yourself. I had to learn self-care. When you're a nurse, they teach you about how to stand, what kind of shoes to wear. You have to care for yourself before you can care for your patients. And that self-care, I think, is the most prominent resource and tool that I use every single day when I'm dealing and working and meeting new people. I'm always using that self-care method. Why? Because I have to put myself in a position to understand and to appreciate and to be active, to be able to care for others, and right now I have a staff of 53,
Wow.
and clients in the hundreds, and we're growing. We're in a soft launch period. So with that said, I'm the person that they come to when they need help, when they need advice, when they need instruction.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the COO, so I run the operations. So I need to be able to be in good standing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in order to pour into all those lives.
And you know what? I think it's just great. So all of those things have kind of made you who you are. And I think that's the wonderful thing about the entrepreneur journey. It's kind of embracing. And I know that's one of the things you speak about is embracing your authentic self and kind of taking all the pieces of what you are, have been, your journey, and kind of bringing them into your entrepreneurial journey. I think that's very, very important. I think there are so many transferable skills as you just laid out. So like I said, for me, like I said, I've been a serial entrepreneur forever. So I enjoy talking to other entrepreneurs about what their journey was like. So this is always great for me.
Absolutely.
So I do want you to kind of share some of the maybe the pivotal challenges that maybe you face, because again, the entrepreneur journey is always, it's never been, I don't know anybody who said, hey, I got up, started the business, and everything took off. I don't know anybody who's that story. We all have challenges. Everyone's had challenges that they've had to face. And the interesting thing about challenges is they really do define who you are and your resilience. So I wanted you to talk about a bit of the challenges that you faced and kind of how you overcame them.
Well, like you, I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 17. My first business was MW Promotions.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I had an apartment at 17, and I didn't have any furniture. But you know what I did do? I went to Value City, and I bought a chair, an office chair, a desk, and then another chair, and I started seeing clients. What I did was I helped customers start their businesses.
Wow.
And this is before LegalZoom and all the things. So I was filling out the SS4s and, for the EINs and, helping them find locations. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. And because, I got out of school early because it's half days, I did all the requirements for my courses to graduate. So I had the time after, noon, I was free.
Wow.
So my office hours were from 12 to 8 because most people get off work at 5. So I saw clients, and with that said, I was able to actually get a loan for $30,000 from DBED, the Department of Business and Economic Development in Maryland. And mind you, when you put $30,000 loan in front of a 17-year-old, trust me, I'm very, very, cautious. I make decisions based on information, fact, experience. Right. And I knew that I did not have the information, facts, or experience to manage that kind of money at that age. I was still in high school.
So what did you do?
I turned down the loan.
Oh, you turned it down?
I turned it down. Gosh. I didn't have the guidance.
Yeah.
I didn't have a mentor. I did not want to be $30,000 in debt because of the money was mishandled. And I feel like to this day that was very smart. Yeah. But I did take myself and put myself on a league where I felt like I was capable. Okay. And that made me very proud because I had to go in there and I had to show them that, what I was going to do with the money. I had the plans, the business plan, the marketing plan, the structure, all the things. Wow. But it was just me implementing them. And I was still a child.
Wow. Yeah. Well.
So I was very proud of myself.
As you should be. You should be. That is amazing. Like I said, to be able to do that and get all the way to the point where you're at the point where we're going to give you the money.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I don't think I answered your question. You asked me about pitfalls. Well, that was a challenge. Okay. I wouldn't say that was a pitfall. I think the pitfall would have been not having the guidance, the mentorship, the knowledge, the education, the layout of how to go about being an entrepreneur. To this day, you can go online, you can see it. Right. And find it, but you cannot know it until you do it as an entrepreneur. Yes. There's really no guide. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but it's never going to fit directly into your mind and spirit where you know the thing, until you do the thing yourself and experience it yourself.
And you know what? Here's what I say to that is I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to give themselves grace and to set out the journey knowing, hey, I'm going to fail way more than I succeed, so let's get to failing. Let's just do some things because we learn our best lessons when we try, attempt, and fail. And I always say failure is not really failure unless you stop trying. Once you go out there and you try something, doesn't work, you just learn how to try again, and eventually you learn what works. And that's really the best way. And you mentioning things on YouTube and things like that, and people watching this is a great age of information. There's really nothing you can't find out today. But everybody's journey is going to be different, and how you apply those things is going to be different, can be different based on geography, where you live, your experience, all those things got to process through that.
Absolutely.
And I do want to say something else that you just mentioned that's super, super important, something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't seek is a mentor. Right? A lot of us, and myself included early on, we just think we could do it ourselves, figure it out ourselves, and there's something to say about getting some information and getting some advice, because it does slow down or stop some of those things.
Absolutely.
So I think it's great. So were you saying, so you did get a chance to seek out some mentors and find?
I did not. I immediately enlisted into the military because I knew I needed that structure, that guidance. It wasn't in a sense in the business realm, but it was in the life realm. I needed to get those priorities in order because, even as a 17-year-old business owner, I still was a 17-year-old in life. Yeah, so, I had to figure out what I was going to do about long-term education, how to pay for it, how to keep the lights on. I had my own apartment, So instinctively, I found that the military was the best option for me at that time.
Wow. You know what? I also was, I had my first apartment, I think I was maybe 18, 19, somewhere like that. So I was a teenager. But that is a thing that you just get greater a respect for your parents, I think, at that point, for what they're maintaining a house. And I think I was still in college at the time that I was at Morgan State, and I was trying to run it. Like you, I had a business. I was full-time business. I was going to school full-time, and I had a full-time job. There's only one full-time. So it was nuts. So I would never. I really strongly encourage my kids to not do what I did because it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult. But again, there's so many things you just kind of learn through the process, and I do. I will say this that studying for an exam does not compete with eviction. So that's so. It's good to just kind of stay as a kid as long as you can. That's what I encourage my children to just stay in that lane, because life is going to happen. It's going to happen anyway, and don't rush that part. But I just wanted to be on my own. I think kids are different today because they're staying home longer. But I think when we were growing up, we were trying to get out as soon as we could, and just get on our own, not knowing what we were trudging into.
Exactly, the bills.
Yeah, that they still stop coming. Now, let me ask you this: with all of that, what kind of strategies were you able to employ to maintain motivation? In the face of this challenge, that challenge, what kind of things? That's always good to kind of share strategies and things that you did.
More for me, it was self-determination. I knew that I came into this world by myself, and I was put here for a reason. And no matter what challenge, pitfall, issue, problem, whatever was in my way, I knew it was going to be a way past it because I still had to get to my purpose. So and to this day, and that's what I teach in my marketing strategies, believe it or not, purpose. It's all about your purpose. You're going to be able to reach thousands, millions of people by explaining and letting them know what your purpose is and helping them to divine their purpose. And that's what people are going to be believing in you and shopping with you and keeping you in mind every time they use your product so they can reorder because you help them to find their purpose. You resonate with them on a spiritual level, an emotional level.
I think that's amazing. And I think it's very important for business owners to align what they do with kind of their purpose or their purpose. Some people get into business to make money, or just for the money aspects of it. And not every industry, it's a tough journey. And if you're doing something you don't like or not something that's in your purpose or you feel purpose in doing or committed to doing, it gets even more difficult, I think.
Yeah, it
does. I think you mentioning purpose and the importance of that, and I think a person who is wanting to figure out where do I start in business, I think that's a great place to start. Is what's your purpose? What do you feel like your
and that's a journey in itself. You can't just say, "Oh, what's my purpose?" and then know it.
Right, right.
You have to walk that journey. You have to walk in line with that. Everything you do, you have to ask yourself, is this in line with my ultimate goals? Is this in line with where I see myself in 5 years, 10 years? Is this what I really want, or is this what I want right now? Everything that you do. And that's how you walk towards your purpose. And it's going to come to you what your purpose on this plane of existence is. It's going to come to you. And then when it does, it's an amazing thing. Because honestly, listen, honey, I'm over 40. I'm a real auntie of Atlanta. Shout out to P Brown Live. I'm a real auntie of Atlanta. We have to be 40 to get in that club, honey. And let me tell you something. I have been walking in the path to my purpose for as long as I can remember. I want to go ahead and say 40 years, but let's say as long as I've been cognizant of it, and we'll say about 25, and it was worth it.
Wow.
It was worth it because I wouldn't be here today if I did not walk that path. Yeah. I would have never reached this destination.
Wow. That is amazing. And it kind of goes back to, like I said, one of the mantras that you always focus on is authenticity. So I do want you to kind of focus on in your opinion, how does authenticity, being authentic, being your authentic self, and engagement play roles in really sustaining your an entrepreneurial career?
Well, being authentic is very much a challenge for most people. And I got to say it. We wear masks. Every day. We think we're supposed to be the person that people should see or want to see. Our family, our friends, our audience. We try to play the part. And it comes very natural because you want to please people. You want to make them happy. You want to give them what they want so that they can reciprocate and pour into you. I get it. It's very much so natural. But authenticity, being authentic to yourself, once again, we're on another journey now. We got to find who you are. You have to do that self-talk, that self-understanding. You have to figure out who you are and then be that person, despite all, in the face of all, and everyone. Because when you're that comfortable with yourself and you know exactly who you are, you vibrate differently. Yeah. People are attracted to you. They're attracted to what you're saying. They believe in you more because they know and they feel that it's coming from a very real place. You're not just pacifying them, giving them treats, telling them what they want to hear.
And you know what? I think when you know who you are, no one else can tell you what you are. And that's super important because everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. People are very free with sharing their opinion about you. But you have to be resolute. You have to be kind of like, I agree with you 100%. You got to know who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, what you want to try to go out there and accomplish in the world. And it's not always about following what everyone else is doing. You got to follow yourself. And a lot of times, you're the only one. Hey, you're alone in that path, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I think that, like I said, these are all great gems that are important on the entrepreneur journey, but even on the journey of life. It's important to do that. So
absolutely.
Like I said, it seems like you kind of were on this trajectory, or you kind of had some advanced wisdom early.
Well, I do a lot of internalizing and devising and evaluating, my thoughts, my inner thoughts, and my experiences, and in terms of trying to understand how I feel about all those circumstances, and that's important because that's how you find out who you are. You can do the same thing over and over and over and think that's who you are, until you really sit down and say, you know what, I really don't even like carrots. I've been eating carrots all my life just because they've been there.
Right.
But now I think about it, I like cucumbers, and it's just that I'm an introvert, by the way. So that tract is kind of natural for me to be introverted. But I realized that it was my superpower because it helped me to find, define, and refine myself and guide me towards my purpose.
All right, repeat that again.
It helped me to find, define, and refine myself and guide me towards my purpose.
That's a powerful statement, and I think that's why I want you to repeat it. So thank you for humoring me on that. And you know what, I do want to I want you to kind of share with us how you how the inception of Smooth Waters Media came about. How did you kind of come to just say, you know what, I'm ready to do this thing, I'm going to put it together, and so how did you discuss that with us?
Well, once again, I'm an introvert, so media and introvert in the same sentences don't even sound like they would go together. But it brings me to Atlanta. Atlanta has a way of bringing out all the creativity in entrepreneurs. There's so many opportunities to create here. There's so many people willing to work with creatives, and I was able to thrive during COVID with my podcast, the Royal Tea Room Live, that I've recently rebranded as Elite ATL Live.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yes, we will. But Smooth Waters Media is a conglomerate of me being a media personality. I do red carpet events, as well as I do my online entrepreneur spotlight, where I allow guests to come on to talk about everything they're doing, talk about their journey, their business, their plans, their goals, their pitfalls, their successes. I give them their flowers, advice, and surprisingly enough, by the grace of God, a lot of them are able to elevate with the exposure that I've provided for them.
Awesome.
So with my sit-down interviews, my media, and I also do events here in Atlanta where I do like recaps of music events, conferences, and all of the media that I provide. The conglomerate is Smooth Waters Media, and it came about because I was just doing so much in that industry, media related, and then marketing, becoming a marketing strategist just kind of came along with it because I was very skilled at providing that expertise, and I wanted to help others with it.
Wow, that's a I said a great story. Just so you kind of putting everything, so everything goes under that umbrella.
Exactly.
All the things that you do. So I do want to now we talked about Elite ATL Live. And I want you to kind of talk about how the unique value that does provide for creators and entrepreneurs.
Well, Elite ATL Live is specifically for artists, entrepreneurs, business owners, anyone with talent or a passion, any creative out there who wants to talk about what they do, what they want to do, and to give them a platform so they can be heard. There's so many people out here with amazing ideas. You ever met somebody like, oh my God, you do that? That's amazing. Why aren't you famous? You know, before this, there was Wendy Williams. There was all the talk shows, all the, podcasts just started kind of going crazy in the past maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when I started the Royalty Studio, my initial podcast. But there was no platform for independent entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. There's no platform. Like, you can't just get on Wendy Williams. You have to be in a movie. Right. You have to be on the radio, So it's very important for me to provide that opportunity for them to be heard. And then with that platform, I was able to devise them opportunities for more exposure and more connections with other entrepreneurs or people who want to shop with them, learn more about them, or have them on their show.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's one of the things I wanted you to come on this show and just talk about, again, all the different things you do. I think for me, what we do, like I said, for my audience, is just trying to provide good information for entrepreneurs to be successful. And it is a journey, and you need help along the way with different things, and you don't have to be a master of a jack of all trades, but it's about reaching out to people who can help you, and put those things together, and there's that way you kind of stay in your capacity, and you let other people stay theirs, and that's kind of how you grow and expand.
Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be reciprocated. for everything that they put out, they want to receive it back. And I just gave them a platform to do that. And in my current role as the COO of New Heights Talent and Small Business Management, we're able to, it's a national talent management agency. We are providing a platform. This is where I am now. We're providing a platform for all those independent artists, talent regarding like from models to DJs, music, as well as small business owners. We're providing them exposure. We're providing them artist development, social media help, assistance in marketing, putting them at platforms they've never been before. We're currently managing the Orange Crush Festival here in Tybee Island, April 18th through the 20th, 2025 in Savannah and Tybee Island. And there's going to be a crowd of 50,000 people there or more, HBCU students. And we are going to be putting our small business owners there as vendors, putting their businesses out there. Imagine just going, selling to your friends, and now you're selling to 50,000 people because now we were able to create that opportunity with them, as well as we're having our artists on stage, performing with artists on the radio. Again, a dream. So our management company is very much so affordable, and it's subscription based, and it's never been done before.
Wow.
And we have, like I said, a team, our staff of about 53 people, and they're all entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that used to be solopreneurs, and we've all collaborated together to build New Heights. Our motto is that we build our clients so that they can soar to new heights. That is our goal with each and every one of our clients, that to put them in a position of elevation, success, so that people know who they are, hear everything about everything that they're doing, so that they can become more successful and elevate to new heights.
Wow, that's amazing. So you do one-on-ones, you do
talent managers do one-on-ones. We do evaluations, see where you are, what you need to get to those levels, and then we put you, once you're at those levels, then we market you. We have distribution through Universal and Virgin Records, sync licensing to get their music and movies. We have so many opportunities for them to perform in Atlanta, and like I said, we're in our soft launch period, so we're just getting started. The ink is still wet on plenty of the contracts that we have, that we're putting into place to provide opportunities for our entrepreneurs and our artists.
That's amazing. So how do you kind of tailor your marketing consultations? You offer so many different things, and how do you tailor market your consultations to kind of boost the efficiency part of it for small business owners?
Well, I've just kind of rolled it into New Heights. I still take consultations. It's not primarily the marketing advice that I used to give one-on-one. Now what I do is my clients, when they sign up on my calendar for marketing advice, I let them know about all the opportunities that we can offer them, including marketing advice. And now I have marketing advisors that will assist them with that department as well as much more, and once they become a New Heights client.
Gotcha. That's great. So like I said, the entrepreneur journey is, like we talked about earlier, it's never a smooth journey. And so the funny thing is, for me in business, and again, I do help clients with some marketing endeavors and a bunch of different things from different angles. And I always think it's great to talk to someone else who also does things. I don't have what's called a scarcity mentality. I think there's enough business for all of us to do, and we all have our own different angle that we provide. But I do want you to talk about some of the common marketing mistakes. If you're in marketing, everybody thinks everyone's got a phone these days, and everyone's got social media stuff. And so, in your opinion, what common marketing mistakes do you observe among entrepreneurs, and how can they be avoided?
The most common marketing mistake is focusing on the product. That's the biggest one. It's not about the product, it's about you. You need to tell your story. Focus on why you think your product is amazing, how excited you were when it came in the mail, how you created it, what's the process, what were your pitfalls, what were your successes. Oh, you just made 100 sales? tell us about how that feels. I want to see that on your timeline. I want to see that on your social media. I'm going to be engaged in how your business is elevating you as a person. I can find 100 million candles online, 100 million t-shirts online, but there's just one you in your journey. And now I'm interested.
You know what? That says a lot. That says it all, basically. And I guess, in today's day and age, you can scroll through and get lost looking through someone's feed or through feeds and just with all the different ideas. And it is about finding your own way to relay what you're doing as opposed to looking what everyone else is doing. I know there's a thing for viral stuff and going viral, so kind of copying something that's already doing that. That's a thing too. But I think it's more, especially for entrepreneurs, I think everything that you just said, I think rings true. And one of the other reasons why I love doing the show, because as entrepreneurs, we get so, I guess, tunnel vision or focused on what we're doing. And we don't always need to be told what to do, but sometimes we need to be reminded. And so hearing things like, even just listening to you, honestly, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm saying, you know what? I need to do a couple of those things myself, and,
Right.
and that's why I love doing this, because it's one or two things that you just forget about that you were doing, because sometimes we can get so high level with things and we forget about some of the things that just are consistent things that we should be doing.
That's the creative genius of it all.
Yeah.
That's how our minds work. That's why I say my creators are my people. My artists are my people, because they think outside the box. They're able to weave in their mind just things that can come to reality in the most amazing ways, and I want to see that implemented. I want to facilitate that process in any way. I love my tribe.
So let me ask you this: how do you foresee the evolution of media platforms that are influencing small business for marketing in the way of marketing?
One more time.
So, how do you foresee the evolution? There's so many things. I mean, technology is happening so fast, and it's just it's hard to keep up with this and that. There's so many different things, and we're building some amazing things here from a marketing standpoint. But even with media platforms evolving, and so. Kind of is there something that you kind of see, or what do you see?
What's my forecast on
for
marketing
the
and media?
Of media platforms, basically that
Well,
influencing
right
small
now we're
business
in the podcast age, and I think it's very much important that you are seen on a podcast. People want to hear your story. They want to hear it on your social media. They want to hear it on your Facebook. They want to hear it online. They want to know who you are. They want to read about you. They want to read articles. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear you tell your story. That's kind of where we are now. Where we're going is you telling your story. I feel like everyone's gonna and they're kind of doing it now, but it's not picking up like the podcasts are. But people are sitting down, and every Friday at so and so time they're going live. They're talking. People want to hear that too. Yeah. That's very important. People are going to start doing this solo, because media is very much important. And people know that they need to communicate what they are doing as far as their business, their life, their platform. They're starting to understand that their audience wants to hear from them.
You know what? I'm going to also piggyback on something you're saying. It's been such a great conversation. So, for whatever reason, sometimes people, when I tell them that, like you, I'm an introvert. I don't like the spotlight, the attention. I don't really like the stuff. I feel comfortable here. This is, I didn't get on stages and do talks from that. I don't love that, but I've grown into being comfortable, just talking and communicating, and mainly because I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and you don't talk, you don't eat, So I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn how to come out of myself.
Right.
But it is important to be able to communicate, talk, and share your story. And it sounds simple. It sounds easy. And for some people it is, honestly. For some people, they love talking about their best subject, which is their
It wasn't
themselves.
for me.
It's not for me, to be honest with you. It is. I know that if I was a person who loved to be out in the spotlight, I would be probably 1,000 times faster. I'm that person that you mentioned earlier at the top of the show that you said one of the important things was developing your product or working on your product. That was one of the so I'm kind of like an over focus on the product and less on look at my product, look at me. So that's a good and a bad thing, honestly. I also have one of the serial part of me. Just like as soon as I conceive something, build something, make it, then I want to build something else. You know.
Oh yeah. Right.
So yeah. So that
Add-ons
yeah. Or just I
or
just
something
love
new.
to yeah. So that's the thing. Which I don't know, but I do want to bring you back to all of this that you just said is super important on personal branding for entrepreneurs. And so I want you to talk about or continue to talk about how crucial personal branding is, because I think that's kind of what you're talking about is that personal branding for
Definitely.
entrepreneurs. So
Definitely is paramount to your success as an entrepreneur. People believe in you. They want to know who you are. They want to believe that when they hear your name, it comes with a guarantee. It's no longer the big businesses. Walmart has, good prices. McDonald's has good fries. Now it's Miss Kia Waters is authentic and passionate, and she's going to help you with your business. It's Max Fortune is going to put you on a podcast so people can hear about your business and your skills and your talents. It's more singular. It's more personalized. So personal branding is important because at Walmart, we don't know who worked there.
right.
McDonald's, we don't know who worked there. But there's only one Miss Kia Waters and there's only one Max Fortune. And people are going to be like, well, look, what's the Instagram to Max? What's the Instagram to Miss Waters? Because I heard she could do this. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They're not talking about my podcast. They're not talking about your podcast. They're talking about what you can do. And that's where media and marketing is going. And that's why personal branding is important. We're no longer living in the shadows. That's over. That went out with AI. Nobody's living in the shadows anymore. Everyone is living up front, in front of the camera.
Right.
Your business, you're standing in front of it. You're not behind the table anymore. Do you want to see these soaps? No, it's, hi, I'm Miss Kia Waters. How are you? I sell these amazing soaps. I just made one this morning, and it's with the peppermint orange scent. And, I wasn't going to use peppermint, but then I was like, you know what? It has really good antibacterial. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so now
right.
they're invested.
Right,
They're
right.
interested. They understand. They're resonating. Their grandmother used peppermint for antibacterial when they were younger. The story. Now they're walking over to your table, and they're interested.
Wow. Yeah.
It's the personal branding. And now they're going to know who you are. They might forget the name of your company, but they're going to get your number in their phone. When they need more soap, they're going to know who to call. You don't have to keep begging them to order through the website, but they're going to keep texting you about it because they want to talk to you.
Wow. So let me ask you, in your opinion, how does one balance creative expression with their business objectives, basically, when it comes to projects? So it's kind of like that's always can be somewhat of a challenge. So what is your philosophy or thought process?
Organization and notes, and to have milestones. It's very important to write down what your ideas are. Now, this is my introvert side because, I'm a little mini computer in a dress. And it's all about writing it down. And you can go old school or you can go new school with the notepad in your phone. But you have to give yourself time and grace to make each and everything happen. You don't want to be ahead of yourself. And you're not going to fall behind because you're already running at top speed. You have to write down each objective and the notes and the tasks that go along with it. And you have to say, okay, I'm going to take the time and invest in this for 3 months to get it where I want it, or 3 weeks, whatever your timetable is, before moving on before moving on to the next thing. Your creative expression is always going to have you moving in different directions because you're creative. Our mind, the entrepreneurial mind is a web of genius, and you'll find yourself spinning in circles. So it's important to set that path for yourself so that you can stay on track, you can stay on target, and you can repeat those steps in the future.
You know what, I like I said, so many wonderful things you're saying right now. And one of the things that I do and have done for a while is I start my morning off kind of writing what I want to accomplish for the day. Because as entrepreneurs, again, one of the challenges, your family thinks that you're doing nothing. They could just call you at any time. Your friends think you don't have a job, so I could just call you. So it's easy to get distracted. And sometimes I always tell people the way to avoid disappointment is to adjust your expectations. So put things in place so that if you do get distracted, we're going to get life still happens as we're trying to do what we're trying to do. So having a list kind of, when you get distracted, brings you right back to center and say, here's what I was working on. but it also gives you something to shoot for every day. And I'm kind of like, I'm still old school. I got to write it down on a legal pad because I'm just addicted to checking it off. So even if I did something I didn't write down, I'm going to write it down and then check it off because, I need credit for it.
I got 3 systems going on. I got a dry erase board, I got notepads in my phone, and I got the composition notebooks.
Yeah, and I think that those are great things. And sometimes we'll come back to an idea that we may have had, a year ago, 2 years ago. And I think it's so amazing how we'll sometimes go back and look and find things. I've gone back and find things from a year or two ago that and now I've kind of developed the idea and gone past it, but I could see where it started and where it began. So I think it's just great for doing that. But staying organized, you mentioned that and how important that is. So let me ask you, what advice would you give as we're kind of rounding up the show, and it's going so fast already. I told you it's going to go quick. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs, really about staying motivated and being resilient?
I think I would tell an aspiring entrepreneur to continue to believe in themselves. Know that their purpose on this planet is to be an entrepreneur, and their purpose is to reach their goal and to never give up on that goal. And no matter what gets in their way, know that there's always a pivot. There's always a way around it. And as long as they keep walking in that direction towards their goal, they will reach it. I told you it took me 25 years to get here. And it's not just your goal, it's your purpose. So I would tell them to never give up and to keep moving forward, walking in that direction towards their goal, walking in that direction towards their purpose. There's going to be challenges. Life is going to life.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you can guarantee that and set your watch by it. But you just keep moving forward in that direction because it is a reason why you're here. It is a reason why that is your purpose, and that is a reason why you are a genius in that area. So never give up on yourself and never stop believing in yourself.
You know what? I think that I tell people all the time also in that same vein is that you have to know the difference between an obstacle and an obstruction. Because like you said, there are going to be things that are going to happen, and an obstacle is something you can get over, around, or, and an obstruction is something you just can't get past, and you got to know as an entrepreneur when to turn around, but when you just have to get over something, get past something. And so, again, also expecting the challenges is the thing that you don't hear enough. You don't hear enough about, there are going to be challenges, there's going to be difficulty in how you can do that. And so that's one of the things I try to focus on with the show is not just the great stuff and how I started the business and everything just took off because, like I said, that's nobody's story.
You have to get comfortable with letdowns and disappointments and hearing no.
Yeah.
You have to, and know in your mind and in your heart and spirit that that's not the end.
And it's also not personal. You kind of not take it personal. Not saying no to you, maybe your product or whatever. But a no can mean you're just not ready yet, or it can mean a lot of different things. So that resilient piece kind of kicks in.
Absolutely.
And just think, but it also will test your resolve. If you're gonna kind of just quit the first no or first bumps, then maybe it's not for you. You got to know that about yourself. You have
to be resilient to be an entrepreneur. It comes with the turf.
So at this point in the show, we have our listeners' questions segment, and so where we address questions once we kind of let people know that we're coming out. So we have a question. Janet from Douglasville had this question. So she writes, Kia, as a new entrepreneur, how can I effectively build my brand's presence online without a substantial budget?
Personal branding. Tell personal stories about yourself and include your brand. I'll talk about the making of it, the inception of the idea in creating your brand. Talk about the challenges that you're having. Talk about your goals for the business. Talk about how you see your brand helping that person, that audience, that customer in their life. Build that on your social media, and your clients will come to you, and that's free.
Wow. Powerful stuff. So let me ask you this, Kia, who would you say is your ideal client, and what type of business or professionals are you best positioned to support?
I guess I would say my ideal client is a small business owner, let's say moderate-sized business owner. that has irons in the fire, customers, been in business 3 years, income coming in equal to debt. That's why they're having, issues, but they're running, people know their name. That needs guidance on just a reevaluation in their marketing area, as well as helping them with the fiduciary aspects. That's my ideal client, because that person knows that they're, not to mention, they know that they are successful in achieving their goal. As an entrepreneur, they've done it. Because a lot of times with entrepreneurs, it's doubt.
Yeah.
It's doubt, wondering, okay, that's why I'm saying just keep on that same path, because the doubt will come in and deter you from reaching your goal. So, and I'm always having to pour and remind my clients that you are here for a reason. Your purpose is to do what you plan to do and in your business, and it's going to help people, and that may change. Your business may change, but the purpose is still the same. That's why you're an entrepreneur. But my ideal client is one that has seen that people love what they do, but they're just having issues. So now I get to deal in another bag and actually, get into my nerd bag, my entrepreneur bag, and help them to refine their business and get it like they want. Help them with the money, the marketing, all the things, when it comes to just repair and getting them back on track, getting them more clients, changing the face of how the audience sees them, new taglines, the fun stuff,
Right.
So because at this point they no longer have that doubt. They know that they're an entrepreneur and they can be successful at it. Just help them be more successful.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful stuff. I mean, I feel like I could sit here and have this conversation all day with you. And so, honestly, we're at the time, the part of the show that we kind of go into what I call our mindset minute, and so I kind of just give my mindset minute. So this is for entrepreneurs. It's a journey, as we're talking about, filled with highs and lows, and it's about embracing a mindset that views challenges as really stepping stones rather than obstacles, like we talked about before, that can transform your path. Out there, you want to make sure that you remember that resilience isn't just really about bouncing back, but it's also about moving forward with greater wisdom, like we've been talking about. So make sure you keep pushing, stay inspired, and continue to mind your business. If you keep your mind on your business, focused on that. And so, my as we close, Kia, could you share, actually, I want you to share actually where people can get in contact with you. I do want you to talk about, just give us your information. How can people reach you? How can people contact you, get in touch with you?
I'm available online at mzzwaters.com. That's MZZWATERS.com. And you can find me on Instagram and everywhere else online at Ms. Waters, MZZ Waters.
MZZ Waters, I got it. So listen, Kia, thanks for sharing. Like I said, this was great for me.
Thank you.
Great stuff. And so for all of you who are tuning in also, and if you want to keep up with me, Max Fortune, stay connected with the Mind Your Business podcast. You can find me on all the social media platforms at Mind Your Biz Expert. Again, it's Mind Your Biz Expert, as well as on YouTube and all the major podcast platforms. And make sure you subscribe, follow, and keep the conversation going. So we love to hear from you. Again, the questions we get and everything, we love that. So continue to submit your business ideas, questions, or even a topic for our next show. Somebody you want to hear about. So continue to engage with the community, and let's continue to build together. So until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and always mind your business. See you in the next episode.